Hello, I'm Jerry Lintner, and this is State of the Town, a monthly show when we sit with our first selectman, Lisa Heavner, and get brought up to date on the state of the town. Madam Queen, how is the state of the town?
The state of the town is strong, Jerry.
Okay, well, let's be a little more specific than that. We were in desperate straits there for, what was it, a week? That you were absent and out in Seattle to see your...
I heard it was hot.
Yeah. The boys, they're men now, right?
Yeah, they're 23 and 21.
Okay, so they're not married yet.
They're
you
not.
Don't get married yet.
No.
Anyone looming on the horizon?
Not that
Did you
I
go
know.
out to check somebody out? Or?
No, we did not. We just, both boys were out there this summer. My brother lives out there, so Jim and I went out to visit them for a
how many
week.
siblings do you have?
Just one.
Just that? That's it? Older, younger?
Younger.
Okay, and you guys were reared here?
No, in Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C.
How'd you end up here?
We weren't looking for a move, but a job opened up and someone approached Jim, and next thing we know,
I thought you
here
were
we
going to
are.
say Simsbury is such a magnet.
And
It
then there's the fact that actually we looked at a bunch of places and we felt most at home in Simsbury. We looked at West Hartford, Simsbury, Farmington, and Avon, and Simsbury was where we felt at home.
Okay, good, fantastic. So the weather, though, and no rain, you really must do something about that.
I'm working on it as we speak.
Okay, good, because it sounds like things could maybe get stormy this week.
Yeah, I think we are
If it's
expecting
going to
some
keep,
rain.
it's got to get sunny, humid, and really hot, and then we'll have storms. Long soaking rain is what we need.
We
don't
do
need
need
a storm.
that. We do
It's
need
almost
that.
9 inches deficit now, 8 point something, and it keeps going south. You know, of us, you'll hear the thunder, you'll see the lightning against the clouds, and doesn't happen.
I know, my yard is suffering.
Yeah.
How's the flower bridge doing?
Well, we have an irrigation system there, but there are times when, this basket or that basket, somehow it gets plugged up. So other than Saturday and Sunday, we have enough volunteers to have people there every day. Actually, on the baskets, we don't have Saturday or Sunday because they're really heavy, so a lot of volunteers can't do that. But it's looking good, looking better and better, so that's good. Speaking of that, if I may do a little public service announcement?
Sure.
Okay. Years ago, the Main Street Partnership used to publish a restaurant brochure that located where they were, and then at some point that stopped. So the old Drake Hill Flower Bridge decided, since we get so many visitors there, and when you work on the bridge as a volunteer, it's amazing how many people are from out of town. And there was a photographer there who wanted a particular shot with no people in it. He waited 25 minutes and gave up. He said there's never any time when there's nobody at the bridge.
True.
So anyhow, what I wanted to mention is 2 years ago then, we put a brochure together. So it says, make your bridge visit complete, eat. And it's a trifold brochure, and inside then is a map, and it's of restaurants that run from down where Abigail's is up to the new Taiyocha. So here it is, and I mention it to you because we have just updated it. It's being printed now, so it may be a week or so before it gets in the bridge. But if you have friends coming to town, or if you want to pick up a few, and then they know people who bike or whatever, because we get a lot of bikers that have gone long distances. And we've got, 39 something restaurants
Great
right along
food.
the center line?
A couple, Taiyocha just opened. Have you tried that one?
My wife has, yeah.
It's out of this
And
world.
she liked it. Out of this world. Well, of course, it's Thai.
I thought it
Oh,
was
no.
delicious.
Thai is, it's delicious? I
It-
thought it was Thai.
It is Thai, but I just thought it was outstanding food.
Okay, well then tell me, what do you think of the really crappy restaurants in town where the food's just awful?
I haven't really found restaurant where the food's just awful.
Isn't it disgusting how nice she is? And
But it's
so
true.
Tactful. Oh, yes, I know.
And
I know.
anyone who
Oh,
eats
I
around
totally
town
agree
knows.
with
Yes,
you.
it is
oh,
true.
Yeah. Okay.
It is true.
All right. So the bridge is doing well, but the heat, we really did have to.
I have a funny story about the bridge for you.
Well, then I'd like to hear that.
So
Wouldn't you like to hear that?
So my son goes.
Oh, wait, look, they're all nodding.
Oh.
Lisa, yes.
So Mike, my son, is in school in Washington.
My son, Mike.
Yes, in Washington University in St. Louis, and his people may remember he had a concussion several years ago,
Yeah.
so I had to go down there, and I met all his roommates. In the course of it, they asked me what I did, and I told them. And since then, they've been following Simsbury, and the thing that they comment the most on and that they can't believe we have is a flower bridge.
Really?
And all his friends always comment on the flower bridge and how cool they think that is.
Well, the other thing that we're pleased about, we're pleased that it adds to Simsbury. And because when you work down there, people came, oh, I saw it or I heard about it, and they're from out of town and they just love it. So it's attractive. And then the idea is once they get here, spend a little money while you're here and like it well enough to come back and spend some more money later.
But I think it goes to the point that we're so familiar with it and it's part of our lives that but when somebody else takes a look at it, they think it's the neatest thing they've ever seen and it's striking to them.
Yeah, it is. It is that. So how do we stand on Betty Hudson's former property? I guess we're waiting to see if we get a grant on
We're
that?
waiting on the FEMA grant, and the FEMA grant is for $25,000 to take down the building. But the Board of Selectmen did, and the voters did authorize spending $300,000 on the property, and we expect construction to begin in the spring. They're right now in the process working with some of the Flower Bridge chair people on final plans, and they're working with the architect to come up with final plans, but we're excited to get that going.
Well, the conceptual ones that were shown, I've only heard really positive things about it, and I think finding the balance, sort of like less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and keep it as natural as you can, but make it convenient for people is just right on. And I think some people were concerned that, it would get too commercial. The natural look of it would be gone. So that's not going to happen.
It's not, no.
That's good. This time of year, I think when it gets this warm, the town gets kind of sleepy. That's kind of the feel. And on Sundays, especially the closer we get to school, because then I think they think this is the last chance to get the kids to this place or that. But you drive down Hot Meadow on a Sunday, well, pretty much all of Sunday, and it's like there's no traffic. It's really very peculiar. So I don't know why somebody would want to go someplace else.
This is the best time to be in Simsbury because you're right. It's at its most spectacular. There are lots of things to do, and then we have a lot of events coming up.
Well,
here.
why don't we talk about some of the events?
I wrote them all down here. I've got to take a look at the things because my
Well,
memory
it's
is
4
not
pages of
It
stuff.
It is because that's how awesome our community is. All
Okay.
these events are organized by volunteers.
Yep.
And they put in hundreds of hours to make really special events for residents in Simsbury. Such as we have the Taste of Simsbury is coming up on August 25th, and that's at the Riverview, and that's sponsored by Main Street, and they bring in lots of restaurants from Simsbury and the surrounding areas. You literally,
That's always excellent.
it is. You pay a fee, but then you can eat as much as you want. You go from table to table. So if you're a nibbler like I am, it is just a wonderful event. It's a great place to
Yeah,
socialize.
but that's the only time of year you eat a meal, right?
No, I try.
Well,
No, I
look
just
at you.
told you I went to
must
Tioga.
only- Well, you didn't say you ate anything. You said you loved it.
Yeah, so that's a wonderful event. We've got Hike to the Mic at Hugh Blind Tower on August 27th
I
and
don't
28th.
understand what that is.
So
Hike
it's
to the
basically
Mic.
you go up and there's bands play and there's a schedule of events and it's just a nice time to get out and hike one of our most spectacular hikes in Simsbury.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And you get rewarded at the top by music and some food, so it's a lot
it's
of fun.
a beautiful view from
Yeah.
up there.
I mean, that's in Simsbury. Sometimes we forget. We have all these spectacular things. We've got Picnic in the Park coming up, and that's August 27th, and that's sponsored by our Aging and Disability Committee and the Simsbury Special Education PTO. And what that is, it's a picnic for individuals or families with an individual who has a disability to come and enjoy.
And what park?
It's actually at St. Catherine's Church, and it's
Oh,
free. So
okay.
you do have to RSVP so we know how much food to serve. But it's a wonderful event. All volunteers organize it, the Aging and Disability, and that PTO do all the volunteer work and prep work, getting it
Oh,
ready.
PTO.
So, yeah, the
Cool.
Special Education PTO, SEPTO.
Well, my wife and I, since we live not far from here, often walk to the bridge and back in the morning.
yeah.
And we come down the old road, the trail here behind the town hall
Yeah.
from Central School.
Central School.
I think it has a name or used to, but I don't know what it is. But coming down the one day, we were walking later in the day, and it was maybe like around noon, and it looked like there was a cookout out in the parking lot.
There
And-
was.
And there were a lot of young boys in blue shirts with some lettering on which we couldn't read.
I believe that was the Simsbury Police Cadet Academy,
Oh.
their picnic lunch. So the Simsbury Police offer a camp for cadets, and they teach about law enforcement to young people, and then at the end they do a picnic. So that's sponsored by our police commission. And the reason why it's important, I think, we've seen a lot across the nation about police departments, but Simsbury has fully embraced community policing, and this is part of that, where they reach out to the community and make sure we have good relations with the community.
That was cool. And then we have the Arts and Crafts show coming up.
Well,
And that's the Simsbury Women's Club.
Yep, Septemberfest is coming up on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. The Simsbury Grange is having an agricultural fair on the 17th of September. How cool is that?
How do you have an agricultural fair in Simsbury?
Well, they're going to they'll highlight different produce from the different farms. There are going to be crafts, I think
Where's that
pie eating
gonna be?
At the Grange.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So free
I
parking,
don't have
free
much
fun.
parking there.
No, but it's
You
worth
can
going.
park in the mall there. That's
Have
right
you
near
ever
the-
been to the Grange Fair?
I've driven past it several times.
It's fun.
Well, I didn't know for years that it was still active. They seem to have rejuvenated.
Yeah, they
and
have.
they do things that support the community, and like they collected clothing and
They did an electronics drive, yeah. So
Yeah.
they are getting reinvigorated, and if people want to volunteer, they should, because they are looking for new members, and it's a wonderful organization and a great civic group.
speaking of new members,
Yeah.
we need volunteers at SCTV. We have exciting new shows coming up for the fall, and it's great. That's wonderful. But we are wearing our volunteers down as far as doing camera work and all of that. And it's fun. And the more volunteers you have, the more fun it is. You look forward to it. When you get down to a few volunteers, it's like, oh, again?
Well, this is
Again?
a great opportunity for some of our students who are in high school, right?
Absolutely.
'Cause
And
you
the
put
new
it on
equipment
put it
that's
on
been
the
got there.
resume. You've got a skill set to market for when you go out to get a job.
Yeah.
And the training itself is not that hard, right? How long does
No.
it take to get trained?
Well, especially not for young people. It's, well, from the time when I used to do that part of it, it was quite laborious as far as the editing and
Yeah.
your steps and back and forth and re-edit and compress. And all of that has gotten so much more just touch and make a choice of what you wanted to do. But if you want to be in that area, I mean, my daughter is a television producer and, of Chasing Classic Cars, Velocity Channel, owned by the Discovery Channel. They had their 150th episode. And before that, it was Dr. Danger that she produced. But
Wow.
she got her start volunteering at SCTV and then waited to get her master's for a couple years, was working in New York, and then decided no, she wanted it to be in communications, television. So got her master's in communication, and it's been very exciting. She actually has traveled all over the world to do
is
that.
exciting.
Yeah.
Now, and the thing about this, you have volunteers of all ages, so anywhere from high school students to senior citizens who do this,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And it's the time commitment is flexible. You let them know what their hours are, and you commit to certain things, but you'll work with them. And
And I'm not going to recall what streets I have been on recently, but there's been a decent amount of road work going on, and not that our streets were bad, but oh wow, this goes way back, because during right after Mary was elected, Mary Glassman, the first time, she went on this campaign to repair potholes. And on East Weetag, I lost 4 of the wheels from potholes, and not all at once, and you'd try to avoid them, but they were aluminum alloy, so they'd hit a pothole and they'd dent, and of course the tire would leak, so you couldn't do it. So I was thinking, it's been a long time since we've had potholes, and then I see these roads that are being newly painted. They're paving it. They're doing something on ours. I think it's going to be sewers. They got all different colors of arrows and circles and everything painted on the road. But that's good to see that that's being kept up.
And you know why?
I don't know why.
Because Simsbury adopted, and I want to give Tom Roy credit for this, he's our Director of Public Works, a pavement management schedule. So now we have evaluated all the roads. We know what needs what when, so that you don't put... The key with road paving is you want to keep up with maintenance, because if you don't, you have to do a total reconstruction. That's very expensive. Whereas if you keep up, you can extend the life of the road. And so there's been a very strong commitment on the part of Public Works to do that, and they've been recognized. Their standards are, I think, now very good in the state of Connecticut. I think we're in the 80s, which is fairly remarkable for a municipality. And actually, most of the calls we get, it's funny, people will call and say, well, there's a problem with this road. They're almost always the state roads. People don't realize that we have state roads and municipal roads, and we actually don't repair the state roads. So that's some of the frustration, because a lot of the complaints we get, we actually don't have the authority to fix.
Yeah.
So, kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I just didn't realize it was going to be happening but I guess, of course, this is the time of year to do it. But I was just surprised. Well, this is great that it's just being scooted along.
Well, Jerry, if you get my first selectman's report for the past 2 letters, not this one, we put out the paving schedule and we let folks know what roads are up to be paved. So we put that on the town website.
To get that schedule, I mean, your posting, you go to the town website and it's called Listen Lisa?
No, but that would be a great name for it.
Okay.
It's called the First Selectman's Report, not very creative. But you can get it delivered to you by email if you hit the subscribe button on the front page and then sign up for town news and announcements. Or if you don't want to get it by email, we post it on the town website.
I want to get it by email. So how do I sign up for that?
So you go to the town website, which is
and
www.simsbury-ct.gov.
click off the box that says send me all the crap.
You could do that. You hit, there are like 5 buttons, circle buttons on the front page. The last one says subscribe, so you click on that.
Okay.
And then it gives you a list of things you can get. You can get agendas for the various boards and commissions. You can sign up for town news and announcements, which I recommend you do, because that's where you get the First Selectman's Report and other news and announcements that we send out. As you know, we don't have a daily newspaper in Simsbury.
Right.
And so how we get out information to our residents is we can't just send it out to everyone. You have to ask for it through subscription.
Has there been any consideration of making Wi-Fi, that we be a Wi-Fi town, that anybody can just get on it, that they, no?
Yes.
I mean, some towns just provide it.
I think we have looked into that. Initially, we are in the process of purchasing the street lights from Eversource and converting them to LED.
I remember.
Those lights will then have the capacity to handle Wi-Fi. So the question is, where would we put it, and the cost of it. So, but Tom Roy is evaluating. We are looking into it, absolutely, because we've had that request from more than just you. A lot of people are interested in that.
Boy, that Tom Ray has his nose and hands and everything.
He's actually, this is his very busy time of the year. This is when a lot of projects are going. And,
okay.
So he is managing a lot. So if you see him, please say thank you, because he is working very hard, as is all our staff. Summers are really hard work time.
Yeah. Well, it also, I think they're not being pulled so many directions like the rest of the year by things that are coming up or issues, or they staff the committees, oh, I need this, oh, I need that. Well, those slow down, those kinds of things. So that gives them a chance to get prepared and get caught up. But
you are seeing a lot of construction around town, a lot of our staff. They're working on the Veterans Memorial, helping our veterans.
Oh, yeah, I saw what, they're breaking ground in the fall?
No, it's already broken. They've begun work. They've cleared some trees. They're doing site work. They actually hope to complete it by November 1st. So it's underway.
Oh.
We're going.
That's cool. So 11/11 at 11, it'll be there. The talking about roads, and I've asked this question a couple different times of different selectmen at this point.
Uh-oh.
At one point, it was decided we were going to have orange things in the walkway on the main drag here, Hot Meadow, that said stop for pedestrians. The last time I asked why we don't do that anymore, it was, and I think the police chief was here, but I may be wrong. The answer was, well, they keep getting run over. I said, well, wouldn't that make the point all the more that they should be there?
Well, that is, it's a dilemma. And that's a good reminder to us all to remember to stop for people who are on the crosswalks because, we get distracted and we drive on. But one of the things, the chief has applied for a permit to put some in front of Town Hall by the crosswalks for just that reason. But he did caution that in the past they were hit and destroyed.
Yeah,
So,
no, you need a lot of backup ones, Or maybe they could be these kinds like these dolls that you used to punch, and then they would rock right back up or something. Yeah.
But it is a challenge, and it's a good reminder to us all to remember to watch pedestrians. One of the things Simsbury is working on is their plan of conservation and development. That's coming up for review and edits. And one of the things that is an importance to this community, is highlighted by the different land use boards, is the importance of complete streets and making sure that our streets are not only great for cars, but for pedestrians and bicyclists, so that all can do that. In fact, the Board of Selectmen passed a resolution in support of the complete streets process as the POCD goes through.
It's tough in an old New England town where it was a cow path before it was a road, and people built closer to it, and so what do you do? Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
But I've never asked it, I never thought of it, and I bet it's not a quick answer.
Uh-oh.
When, like the town owns 10 feet of right-of-way from the road, what seems to be like into your property.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suppose they use it on both sides, that they make it a really wide road so it's 20 feet wider. Now do they own an additional 10? Or is that it? They've used it up.
No, they can't take your property without compensating you. So government can't just take, if you own the property, we can't just take it from you.
Do I own that 10 feet?
And that's usually a right of way by the town, so I'd have to look at your particular property. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no, I know they got my first 10 feet there. But then if they used it, because they have a right of way, and so they decide we're going to drive over it every day, then they don't get another 10 feet, I guess.
Unless they take it from you. Right, but I don't think that anyone would do that.
Nobody's going to mess with me and take it.
That's
no.
right. I know. Nobody's going to mess with you and do that. So no, the government can't take other people's property without paying for it. And then there's actually a very hard process to get through to do that. So takings don't happen very often. I've been in office, gosh, I'm going on my 7th year, and I've never seen one.
Okay.
So.
Well, and then there was something I was curious about. I remember a while back there was talk about we have so much segregated town land that the town ends up being responsible for, like, behind the end of a cul-de-sac or something like that. And I thought, like, we're thinking we want to downsize. We'd like to stay in Simsbury, but, our house is too big. So it'd be nice to have a nice little lot that you had to have a back drive to, and put a reasonably sized house there. And I thought that might be great for the town, because we do seem to have a problem keeping older fixed income people in town.
True.
So I don't know what that would take. Probably in those areas, the size of the lot, that would have to change on an exception. But I thought it was a good idea.
Actually, when I was door knocking in the last election, a number of people have raised that issue, Jerry, and a lot of people share your concern that you're raising right now.
Well, let's do it then. That would be a great idea. The other thing, I've read it a number of times, and it seems like this is what I understand about the charter revision, that the committee was asked some questions, they responded, you guys, the Board of Selectmen, then said, well, could we see an edited edition with some of the reasoning in and maybe some of the things change once you've looked at it again after our input. But then as I understand, once that's done, you guys only have 15 days to decide whether you're going to vote on it to go to the
Well, I see we have 2 minutes, and I thought you were going to ask me about this the whole interview. But we actually took a vote on it on Monday. It came before the Board of Selectmen. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the vote, there were, I think, 6 recommendations. I can't remember. The town manager versus Board of Selectmen was probably the most discussed.
Yeah.
And that came down 4-2 in terms of the Board of Selectmen members approving it. And it will go to referendum to the voters in November.
Okay.
Elaine and I voted against it.
Okay.
Not to put it forward to referendum, but the motion was not, shall we let the voters decide? The motion was, do you approve of it?
Yeah.
And, for me, some people were saying you have a more professional government if you go to town management.
Don't get me started. We can't talk about this anymore because I'll get on my soapbox. Community, community, community. No, I'll start yelling. We can't talk about it anymore. So it's going to referendum.
So it is going, and the
form.
voters will decide. And it really is at the end of the day, it's the people's government. It's how we want to do self-rule. This country was founded on the notion it's fundamental and basic. That
Now you're on my soapbox.
I am a little bit. But, eventually we're getting the wrap-up signal, so we didn't have a lot of time to discuss
No,
this,
well,
but-
okay. I felt I didn't want to put you in an awkward position, but what I wanted to know is it going to referendum and is the EDC and that still in it, and they are.
Well, not really.
Hurry.
Okay, so what's happening with the EDC is that the recommendation from the Charter Commission, which was approved by the Board of Selectmen, is that the Board of Selectmen will be required by ordinance to establish an economic, so it's not actually in the charter other than the requirement that we establish an ordinance.
Fantastic.
All right.
Lisa, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank all of you. And we'll see you again next month on State of the Town.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.